Frankfurt, a city where businesses have developed from the Middle Ages, has grown to be the biggest commercial city in Germany. It also has become the world's financial city, called Frankfurt. Now, looking at its historical buildings of the old city, where people live, tourists are deeply impressed by them, as if they were in the hundreds-year-old historical scene. If they found out that this place was restored from the ash after the World War II, what would the tourists think? In 1939, Hitler waged the World War II, making all Europe a war place for 6 years. Most cities in Europe were destroyed, and historical buildings and cultural properties became ash. The old city with the old looks of Frankfurt. It feels like as if we rode the time machine and went 600 years back to the Middle Ages. Looking at the old buildings and sculptures, do tourists know that this place was once vanished by the horrible war? It must be difficult for people to imagine that the buildings here were rebuilt during the 1950s and 1960s.
Beim Bau der Häuser, die wir hier bauen werden, also bei den Rekonstruktionen, die wir hier erschaffen werden, kommen im Grunde mehrere verschiedene Techniken zum Einsatz. Das sind zum einen
The issue of restoration, however, was more urgent than the historical investigation in the ash left from the war tsunami. Such rebuilt buildings without complete investigations became monsters damaging the beauty of the city. Dom Romer, which directs the restoration professionally and systematically, settles the district of the Square of Romer. It sets the existing buildings in good condition and breaks down the restored ones if they were built without a complete investigation. The company is rebuilding them through the historical investigation. While some places are finished with being restored, the Square of Romer is still being restored. 80% of whose old city was destroyed by airstrikes. But also 45 out of 65 cities in Germany, such as Dresden and Hamburg, became the ash. Many cities in Europe countries were the same cases. The cities experienced trial and error like Germany did. Finally, each European country has researched its own way of restoration for years. They're trying to restore them with their own know-how. And they choose one of three styles: the Italian style, French style, or German style. While Frankfurt has grown to a modern city, it didn't forget its history. How can they make the modern city and the old one harmoniously coexist? In 1980, while people were processing the construction to build the Office of Cultural Properties, they found the ruins of a ghetto, a Jewish residential area, and they decided to keep the ruins in the building. Indeed, it seems to show their philosophy of rebuilding Frankfurt, where the past and the present coexist.
In einer Stadt wie Frankfurt wird sehr viel gebaut und es ist kein Problem, moderne Architektur neben einem Kulturdenkmal zuzulassen.
The Opera House Alttheater, called the most beautiful ruins in Germany. We could feel the past, present, and future of it at the same time. We could see the blueprint of the building restoration and conservation as well. Built in 1880, Alttheater was heavily destroyed, whose roof completely fell down, leaving only the facade, standing during the World War II. And it got its original look back in 1981.
Wieder eröffnet wurde die Alte Oper 35 Jahre nach der Zerstörung im Jahr 1981.
They were realizing the real meaning of restoration, that the historical buildings rebuilt with their hands should not be watched as a mounted specimen, but be part of their lives.
Restoration of European method does not damage the artistry of the past. And that is something we have to learn.
전체가 활활 불타오르고 있습니다.